I can't put any more time into this. We gotta. Walt is here now. It's time to get the show on
Well,
the road. So.
It's no, it's running on YouTube.
You have everything you need now.
Yep. I'm gonna stick around for a couple minutes though. So.
Sure.
Cool. All right, gang. Well, welcome to Scrum Con 2021 Battle on the Borderland. I'm Eric, the GM for the game. We're broadcasting live from my basement, where I have set up a old school sand table that I think some of you guys have played on before, and we're gonna play old school chainmail pretty much to the rules. I've modified some stuff to make it go a little bit smoother. And then also really the design goal for this game was to take, the limitations that we have to with virtual gaming today, but use them to our advantage and really actually introduce some older school elements to the game that we'd probably play if we were in person. Specifically written orders with a referee, which really goes back really far in the history of wargaming to the origins of Kriegspiel for officer training in Christian military schools. Where there would be a referee and the rules were kind of not really known. It was, hey, here's your forces. What would you do if you commanded this cavalry regiment? And the referee would interpret that. So we're going to do a good deal of that. We are going to have some rules that I'll show you guys to give you an idea of what you can and can't do. And then also the kind of blind movement, right? Simultaneous movement, which is hard to do when you war game face to face. And there's all kinds of things we do to, a lot for that, but in a real battle, things move at the same time, and you have to react at the same time. So this allows us to do those two things, which are much harder to do in person. So we're going to go around the room and make introductions. We'll start with the guys who are on the Forces of Law, which is Walt and Griff. If you guys want to say hi and introduce yourself to everybody else.
Yeah, hi, I'm Griff. I'm gonna be a good guy, I guess, and I don't have a camera. Sorry, I'll try to hook something up in a while. It's just early for me.
Awesome, welcome. And Walt?
Sorry, my wife was departing to pick up a dog on South and was hollering down the stairs at me during that. My name's Walt. I'm not sure exactly what forces I'm running today. I'll take whatever. I got the Forces of Law sheet, so I'm assuming that's me.
Yep.
Okay. So, I don't know. What else you want me to say? I actually managed to get Zoom working, so game.
All right. Victory for the day. All right, John and Paul, you guys are the Forces of Chaos. You want to say hey?
Yeah, hi guys, I'm John. I help organize Scrum Con, and I've got a whole bunch of baddies here. I'm looking forward to rampaging over the Forces of Law.
Yep, I'm Paul. I'll be your co-Eagle guy for the evening.
Awesome.
All right, we also have with us my father, Mr. Ed, who is a helper in interpreting the orders and moving the forces after you guys submit them.
Very good.
All right, so I'm going to jump right into like the pre-briefing with some technical stuff and then some game stuff, and then at the end ask any questions of anything I didn't cover. But we'll start with Zoom. So Zoom controls that are important to know is I'm going to make you all co-hosts so that you can move back and forth between some breakout rooms that I've created. When I'm done this, there will be a breakout room in the bottom of your Zoom window, depending on what device you're on. There'll be a button called Breakout Rooms. And if you click that, there will be a Law Commander's Tent and a Chaos Commander's Tent that I'll enable once you're a co-host. You'll be able to move back and forth. The main room will be, I think, called Main Room or Unassigned, something like that. And so each turn, I'll give an update of what happens. We'll do the battle resolution, and then you guys, for the next move, can go to your respective rooms to talk about strategy. The other important thing is once you're made a co-host, you will have an option to do something called Spotlight Video. Don't do that because that actually will spotlight it for everybody. It'll change all the camera views for everybody. If you want to look at something more closely, use the pin video command. And that'll be, you can click on a picture, like the general's view you want to look at, or the battle camera view, or a person, and then that'll bring that up for you. So just don't use the spotlight. The chat, I probably won't be checking. So if speak out loud, or that's the best way. I'm going to have the audio on the whole time. Zoom rooms, I went over. So any questions about Zoom or kind of the controls here, someone's not familiar, that I can help answer?
Looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already looking at the chat. I was looking at the breakout rooms. I was toggling between breakout room and
awesome
and main room.
So in this main room, we've got a couple of cameras going right now. We've got the Law General's view and the Chaos General's view. Another feature that we're using with this setup is kind of an induced fog of war, if you will, right? So these cameras are up high, they're behind the forces. You'll be able to see little numbers on your cards, but then you have the roster that tells you what that is. Your opponent really can't tell what your forces are at this distance yet. As you move closer, the battle camera will show you up close, and you'll see if you're fighting, giants, or if you're fighting, cavalry or spearmen. And so that's kind of an induced fog of war that will hopefully add something to this game. The battle camera, is that on?
On.
Yeah. So the battle camera is actually a phone on a tripod, so I'll be able to move that around the game and highlight who's attacking who at any given time. Hopefully. And if I often forget to start moving the battle camera as the forces get closer because I get caught up in the game. So just remind me if you want to, when the forces are closer, if you want it highlighted on a particular thing. So that's it for really Zoom. We can go into the roster and a little bit of chainmail kind of stuff. If nobody has any more technical or camera related questions.
I think the forces of evil would like to refer to our breakout room as the Chaos Crypt.
Yeah, that's correct. All right, I'll be able to rename that when we get a break. Let me see. All right, so each of you should have received an email with your force roster, for I think probably most people here. Paul, have you ever played Chainmail before at all?
I played at GaryCon, but it was confusing. Most of us didn't know what we were doing, and the organizer had to leave for various reasons, so we were mostly sat around.
So you definitely have played Chainmail then. That's yeah. It's Chainmail at first. My experience with it was that it was a hot mess, almost impossible to play. And then I played it and I figured it out and I played some more. And then eventually I got to a place where I was like, damn, this is actually cool and pretty intuitive. Or not intuitive, but there's some mechanics there that really are deep. So we're gonna try and get into some of that, but that's fine. So you have a general idea of what we're doing here. And so that's great. So on the rosters, you'll have a unit name, and then there'll be a little in brackets, either a letter or a number or a symbol in front of them, and that's so that you can reference it on the camera view. The unit name, the number of units, or the number of models in the unit is the next column there. Pretty self-explanatory. The melee morale. So what we're going to do, I'm not going to use the fatigue rules as written. We're going to use our kind of like some custom rules, and there's still some stuff in here. So really, on this roster, fatigue is the only thing the players will have to track as part of the game. Everything else will be the GM will handle. And we'll get to how you figure that up later. The ATT is attacks as, and DEF is defends as. So the way Chainmail, everybody's attack and defense is on a chart, a combat chart, which is in the combat tables. And you look what you are. So in this case of, if we're looking at, it says AF, that's armored foot. HH is heavy horse. LF is light foot. HF is heavy foot. So you got 3 categories of foot and 3 categories of horse. And then you look on the chart and you see what you're attacking, and that tells you how many die you roll and what you need to kill. You guys don't need to know that. We'll go through that as we get to it. And that gives you a general idea of how strong your unit attacks and how well they defend. If it has a number in front of it, that's the number of basically hit points that unit has. Some of them are simultaneous hits. So heroes usually take that number of hits in one round to kill them. So your leaders, you have to hit them that number of times in that round to kill them. And the some other units are cumulative. So you just need they hit points travel. You reduce those hit points round to round. Any questions so far on those categories before I go on?
Yeah, so light units are the lightest ones. What's the heaviest ones? Is it heavy or is armored? What's the toughest?
Yeah, both, right? So they don't they're not consistent. So the categories are light foot, heavy foot, armored foot for infantry, and then light horse, medium horse, heavy horse.
Okay.
Yeah. So inconsistency in nomenclature is one of chainmail's unique charms. Let's put it that way.
I would like to have the nimble foot unit.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of the longbowmen are kind of the, it's also interesting. There are definitely some historical units that are given a lot more credence in chainmail than I think they deserve.
Really?
It's almost like you could tell what Gary was really interested in, or I assume it was Gary's stuff because it was the Swiss pikemen are unbeatable, right? And I know he was Swiss, and so they get basically every rule in chainmail says except for Swiss pikemen, which can do it this other way, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Cool. Any other questions on the first couple of categories there?
What is the difference between armored foot and heavy foot?
So it's just one category better. So the armored foot are tougher. They're one on the, if you go to the combat tables on your Google spreadsheet, you can see what everything attacks as. And this also gives you an idea of the comparative power. One thing that definitely got me with chainmail, that little dash that looks like light foot is -1 per die. Ignore the dash. That is just the formatting that they used. So if you're looking at Appendix A, light foot versus light foot, it's 1 die per man. So if you have 10 light foot attacking the enemy's 10 light foot, you would roll 10 dice, and for every 6 you get, you remove a model.
And what does the 2 and the 6 in front of the letters mean? Like under ogres has 6 HF.
Yeah, so those are that's how many hits. They have 6 hit points per stand, per model. So you've got to get 6 kills against them to remove 1 model.
The rest of them have 1, so that's assumed.
Yeah. The most units in the game are 1 kill is 1 model, which represents 20 men. So these are the models you have on the table, but it's times 20 would be the actual number of troops there.
Knights cavalry?
What's that?
Are knights the same thing as cavalry?
Yeah.
Knights are horse. Yep.
Which kind of horse?
Heavy horse.
Okay.
HH.
I think we only have on our, well, we're not going to reveal our forces. We will talk later about which ones are horse units and which ones are foot units.
Yeah. And there are some that kind of break the rules here. But all right, so moving on, and we'll hit a lot of this as we get going. The next category is your movement. So your standard movement is how many inches you can move. As a reference point on the sand table, since you guys won't be here to measure, which is kind of some of the fun, the river at its is about 6 inches wide. So that'll give you a reference. The table itself is 8 feet by 6 feet. And most of the model stands are about 6 inches as well. So if you can see on this longbowman, that's about a 6-inch frontage. So that'll give you some idea of the scale, because when you give your orders, you can reference distance, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be, especially with missiles, you have to guess at range, right? Similar to how a real army would in a meeting engagement, right? And then you'll start to learn the distances, and then you'll zero in, and then you'll do damage. So don't get frustrated with that. That is part of the experience. And actually, chainmail's written that way, especially when you use spells and artillery. You're not allowed to pre-measure anything. And you have to call it out, and then your opponent measures it. So using artillery and stuff like that, which spells are considered artillery, is very much trial and error. You're not expected to hit on the first try. And famously, the story I heard was that Gary and his sand table he knew that if he put his finger like this on the edge of the table, it was exactly whatever it was, 6 inches. And so he would stand on the edge of the table and kind of cheat to get the ranges right. That's what I heard. I wasn't there, but that's what people told me. I think Terry Kuntz told me that. So that's interesting tidbit. The other things we have missile range. If you have a missile weapon, that's the maximum range. There's no short, medium, long. That's your range. And there's a table you roll on to see what casualties you do. I'll take care of that when you call it out in your movement. And mass casualty morale that's your breaking point. If there's if you have a score there will be a percentage and then a number. And what that means is when you lose that percentage of your troops, you have to roll the number after the slash on 2d6 or higher to not rout. Routed units will just be removed from the board.
Wow.
The other thing that you guys don't need to worry about, but the melee morale, that second category there, is kind of a rough idea of one of the things in chainmail. Is actually one of the most important mechanics is in a melee, you roll a post melee morale formula. I'll handle all that math for you. You don't need to worry about it, but it informs things like pushing units back. And so the better your melee morale is, the better your unit is at dominating a melee. And so you might push them back. That opens up flanks for other units to attack because you shift. Anytime you get an advantage attacking a flank, attacking a disordered unit, you're going to get a shift up in that combat chart. And that's how you that's the main mechanic of the game on how you take advantage and dominate. So like I said earlier, the thing you guys will need to track is your fatigue. If you look at the quick reference sheet, which is the 4th tab on your Google spreadsheet here, it'll tell you what fatigue costs there are. It's a little ways down. A standard move costs 1 fatigue. So every round, if you just move your regular move, you chalk up a 1 in that category on your spreadsheet. If you're going through rough terrain, that includes woods or marsh or the river, that's an additional 1. If you fight, that's 2 fatigue points. And if you charge and fight, that's 3 fatigue points. And you're going to just add those up. When you get to your max, and you can get rid of those by doing nothing for a round and just reordering your lines, and then you're back to 0 fatigue. Which brings us to the charge movement. The charge movement is you can move that extra bit if it is extra over your movement. But at the end of that move, you must engage an enemy. And if you do, then everything's fine and you can go on. First of all, it gives you a shift up because you charged into an enemy. So that's an advantage to you when you're attacking. But if you don't contact an enemy, he moved out of the way, you misjudged the distance, then at the end of that, you're automatically disordered as if you reached your fatigue level.
And what is the limit on how much fatigue a unit can have?
It is the melee morale number. So if you look at a unit, it'll be the name, the number of models, and then melee morale number. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go over special abilities in individual breakouts before the first turn, so that you guys don't know each other's special abilities. But any other general questions on the roster, the stats, or anything like that?
I had a question about, maybe I should wait until we go in the breakout, but something happens later. I guess I'll ask later.
Yeah, if it looks like it's a special ability to your guy, wait. There are a few. All right. So I'm going to make everybody a co-host. Remember, don't spotlight video. And then that'll allow you to move to your breakout room. And then I'll come pop at each one and answer any 4 specific questions. And while I'm in the other room, you guys can figure out who's going to control what units. Because the most important thing is where the written orders go. So if you look at the spreadsheet, there's an orders tab. And it's split up by round and then all of the units in your army. So each round, someone in the orders, the C column, will have to type in what each unit is doing. You can be general. I'm going to interpret the orders to the best of my ability and in your favor as much as possible. So you just type in, advanced full movement. You can type in advanced 3 inches if you think you know what 3 inches is. Charge unit C, whatever you want to do, and I'll interpret it as the best way that I think that commander would do it. And so I might mess up, and then that's just kind of the fog of war and the burdens of command. But I'm a neutral. One of the good things about having a referee is it's a neutral observer, and I'll make the best call that I think I can, and then we'll see what happens. And that'll be the fun of it for you guys to see. After the simultaneous movement, where did everybody go and what happened, and I think that'll be fun. All right, so let's make everybody a co-host. John, you're good. Paul, you're good. Walt, good. And Grifka. All right, so you guys test out moving to your appropriate breakout room, and then I'll pop into Law first and answer some questions, and then Chaos.
I do not see anything for breakout room. Please excuse me. I don't use Zoom in my work day to day.
No problem. That might be my fault. So you are Chaos, right?
Yes.
So Paul's able to move. So John assigned to Chaos.
There we go. Hello, Paul.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going okay. So I was hoping we would still be able to see the map and where all of our stuff is. All I remember is that on the left side there were ogres and I think orcs.
I think the skeletons were on either side. The rights were in the middle. The heroes in the center.
Yeah.
There were zombies on the board, and I think the orcs and the ogres. I don't remember.
Yeah. Where did you say there were zombies on the board? I didn't see any.
I didn't see any. No.
Yeah, I guess you summoned those or something like that.
Did you down if you get to the last long turn numbers 16, 17, 18? There's an additional troop type.
Oh
window.
no.
I don't know if that's an error or does that mean they come in later in the game?
Oh yeah. Cool. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I was going to ask him why, if that was an error or if that was, but I guess
yeah,
it would blow our cover if we.
right. And there we have a guy who's got his spells. He can conceal a unit.
Yeah. Well, another thing is they all have dark vision and he can cast darkness.
Oh yeah.
Everybody who works in the ogres have dark vision. So if we can move the orcs and ogres sort of to one direction and have all dead go to the other direction and cast darkness, that should be pretty helpful.
Yeah. Do you know how big darkness is in chainmail?
I don't know. Wait a minute. Is there darkness here? Maybe that's what concealment.
Concealment. A friendly unit can become invisible. You can do it before troop deployment.
I guess never mind my strategy.
No darkness. These orcs look pretty weak though.
They're slaughtered.
Yeah.
But they're bow units.
They're the only ones with bows, right?
So keep them
back. And then our wizard can just chuck lightning bolts consistently, over and over.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Is there like a spell slot mechanic in chainmail?
I don't know. It looks like so under spells, confusion, concealment, raise dead. Those seem like one-time things, but invisibility, dark vision, and lightning bolt, I was seeing those as more like abilities that he can just keep doing.
Yeah. Maybe. It has a missile attacks. I guess it just has the same limit.
All right, so what do you think we want to do? Do you want to we just march everybody forward, or we could keep like our weak units back, like keep the orcs back on one flank and let them just shoot arrows, and then push all of our strong stuff to another flank and just kind of push in from one side?
Yeah. Probably want to split up the units. However, we're going to put them do that early, because it's going to take a while for everybody to get in range of each other.
Yeah.
So we move things around. I don't know. Do you see any groupings that would be ideal? So the ogres are kind of like tanks. The orcs are our range, and the rest of them.
Yeah. So, and I don't quite know how the flanking works in this, right? Like, do you want to put your strong stuff on one flank and like crush it, and then come around with the weak stuff, or?
Seems like you want to flank with something big.
Yeah.
How flanking works.
We don't have any cavalry. Everything is pretty slow. It's all foot speed.
Yeah. So maybe split the skeletons into two. So maybe I guess we'll have two groups.
Mm-hmm.
One, each one will have a skeleton. Then maybe one has the ogres, and one has the orcs, and then the rights, and the hero, I guess. Well, the rights are kind of like elite units, right?
Yeah. So they can paralyze stuff.
And they're immune to normal missiles.
Immune. Oh, that's nice. A lot of our stuff doesn't take any damage from normal missiles. So it might be... Can we screen our ogres with like the skeletons and stuff, and the wights that don't take damage from archers?
Yeah. Yeah, so we put a group of skeletons in each. I'm assuming, how many groups do you think we should have? 2?
Yeah, I would just, I would say you take one flank, I take another flank, and then we can split things up that way. Does that work for you?
Yeah, it works.
So only the ogres and the orcs are vulnerable to archers, correct?
Yeah. Well, let them take half damage.
Yeah. Right. So like the skeletons, they say they're unbreakable, so I don't know what that means. They're just not gonna, is that already factored into the mass casualty morale column? They just don't have that, they don't have to worry about that?
Because these troops never route from a mass casualty morale, post-melee morale result.
Yeah.
It has to do with morale.
All right, is there anything that you want in particular?
Not really happy.
All right, I'd be happy taking the orcs and the ogres if you want the wights and the hero.
Sure.
Does that work for you, or?
That's fine.
Okay.
And then one of us is taking, each of us are taking a skeleton troop, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Hey guys.
Hello there.
I just realized I don't know how to get myself back to the main room.
We did have a question about troops. We noticed in the later round there's another troop category, Wendell, Neanderthal Cavalry. Did those come in at that turn, or is that error?
They do not. That is me forgetting to delete them. Sorry about that. I thought I did. That was one of the units I took out. Where are they? Oh yeah. No, ignore Unit F. They're not. I've run this a couple times with various groups of units. So sorry about that. That's my fault.
Anyways, there goes our whole plan.
Yeah. There's when I had 6 players, there was more units on the board, but it actually allowed really less maneuvering. Really, all anybody could do was just go right at it. So I took some units out, and that was one of the ones that was the least effective and useful.
Gotcha.
They pretty much routed the first time anybody attacked them. So I just got rid of them. All right. And so questions, guys. Let me run through your roster real quick because you got a bunch of special abilities here. And then I want to try and get started. We can ask more questions as we go. But all right. So the Hevel of the Vile is your leader. He fights as 2 armored foot, and his biggest thing is he's a hero, which means he can attach to a unit and provide them a bonus to their attack as well as morale. Although a lot of your units don't have morale problems because they're undead. He can turn invisible if you want him to. He has dark vision, which you can see in the dark if that ever comes up. Lightning bolt. Lightning bolt is not a spell in this game per se. I mean, it's a spell, but it's treated as artillery. And so what that means is that if you want to use your lightning bolt, you use it during the missile phase, like a missile attack. The trick is that you have to call out relatively blind with no pre-measuring a distance and then a direction. And so you'll say, I want to shoot this lightning bolt. It has a maximum of whatever it is, 24 inches. You can say 16 inches towards that cavalry unit. I'm going to measure it out 16 inches in that direction, and that is the end point of your lightning bolt. In other words, the head of it. And then you measure back 6 inches back towards the caster, and that's the area of effect. So this is the way artillery is actually done in chainmail. So it's kind of like you have to kind of get the range, and as you go on, so expect your first lightning bolt to miss, right? But you'll start to zero in on these guys. Towards the end of the battle, what usually happens is you're just wiping out rows of people with this lightning bolt, and it kills anything it's over.
Oh my god.
So yeah, so it's very powerful, but a little bit it's tricky to dial in, and this is so understand that about lightning bolt. And it's fun. I think it's super fun to do it that way. You do have some spells as well, which are really detailed down there. You get confusion, concealment, and raise dead. That allows you to create a small unit of zombies. And all of those details are given below. So you can read those or let me know if you have any questions.
And they can just cast spells as often as they want? There's
no, so each one time, and it's good, very good question. And spells have a difficulty rating. So there will be 3 numbers. So let's look at confusion, right? So it's 36 inches, so that's the range. You can cast it anywhere up to 36 inches. And then you've got 3 numbers. It's actually 4, but it's 3 categories: 10, 9, and 8, or 7. So you roll 2d6, and if you roll a 10 or higher, it takes effect immediately. If you roll a 9 or 8, it takes effect the next round. And if you roll a 7 or below, it fails.
Ooh.
Once a spell fails, you can't use it anymore.
Ooh.
So, but if you're successful using it?
Yeah, if you're successful, you can use it again.
Oh, wow. Okay. And concealment we can use before the battle, correct?
Yes, you can.
There's no spell.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I did the troop deployment already because we kind of have to in this situation. But yeah, if you guys want to do that, go ahead and roll it now, and then I'll try and surreptitiously remove it from the board.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they have studied our board enough to memorize it. Or I mean, they could be doing it now, right? Are they still in their breakout room?
They might be back in the main room, but they're talking. Yeah, if you want to do it now, I think that would be, I'll do the best I can.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, which unit do you want to And you guys will need some D6s because you're gonna be rolling all your own stuff. Which unit do you want to conceal?
I don't know. What do you?
I would say either your whites or the ogres. I'd be fine with you doing the whites. You know.
Let's do the ogres because the whites. Do you want to roll? Because I don't have any dice.
Sure. Yeah, I'll roll. 2d6. Is that right?
Yep.
Oh, come on. Come on. I got a 6.
All right, it fizzles.
Oh, no!
You can't use concealment anymore. This battle. So the good news is they don't know that. So
Right. We can threaten them with it.
Yeah, it's cool. So other stuff is you guys have. So the whites, one really powerful thing they have is their first round meleeing another unit. They paralyze that unit for the next round with fear. So the first time that they attack in base-to-base combat a unit, that's incredibly powerful. They also fight like hell. Well, because they're undead from hell, so that makes sense. The fantasy combat table, so any unit that has that can fight one-on-one another base or model on the fantasy combat table, which you go to combat tables is kind of much preferable odds for these one-on-one of these fantasy units than the true table. So the general idea is like if you want to get rid of their leader, you want to attack him with your leader, not a unit of spearmen, right? The heroes mow through common troops.
Yikes. Okay.
Most of your guys are undead or immune to fear, so that's you can. They're also not going to be broken. They can be pushed back as a result of a melee, but they can't be broken, routed rather. All your skeletons have spears, which means the second rank counts towards your model count for attack. Because the way you do melee, it's how many models are in contact with how many other models. Your spears can attack one rank behind. The orcs are a mixed unit of bowmen. So at any given time, regardless of how many models they have left, half of them have bows, right? So if you lose 10 guys, you'll have 30 total orcs, 15 of them have bows.
Okay.
So you can shoot up to 15 inches with those short bows during the missile phase, and then that's how we figured that out.
With bows, can you do enemy or friendly units block line of sight for bows? Can you shoot over the heads of intervening units?
You can if they are kind of common sense. If they're right in front of you, no. That block sight. If they're a little bit in front of you, you can arc over, and if you're elevated, you can arc over. So I'll basically make a judgment call on if they block line of sight, if you want to do that. But yeah, you can arc over, especially if you use the terrain. When you get in close to the battle camera, you'll see that they're on a hill right now, pretty sizable hill.
Right.
So like if the ogres were to move in front of that hill, and I dusted the kind of the elevation change with a little bit of darker brown, so it's more obvious from the overhead view.
Mm-hmm.
You could definitely shoot over something like that.
Well, and then can I screen my own guys with like skeletons who take half damage? Can I put more vulnerable units behind them, and are they going to be able to shoot those vulnerable units, or?
Yeah, only if they have a similar advantage, like they're elevated.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of common sense. There are some specific rules in chainmail, but they're not very good or realistic. So I just use one of the advantages of playing on a sand table is you actually have elevation. So you can say, yeah, that makes sense. They could do that.
Got it. Okay.
Your ogres are super tough. They take a lot to kill. They can also they can be fought on the fantasy combat table since they're a unit, but like if one of their fantasy units comes up, they can fight one model at a time. So that's kind of their vulnerability. But they do take 6 cumulative hits to remove a stand. So if you get into a melee with some bad other guy or good guys, and they do 5 hits against you, that doesn't remove a model until they get to 6. So they can really soak up some damage, as you'd expect ogres to. And the zombies is if you use that raise dead spell successfully, that's the stats for your zombies.
Got it.
Cool.
All right.
Any questions?
I think that's it. For me, at least.
All right. Let's try and get myself back to. I can't figure out how to leave my own breakout rooms.
Can we kick you out? Can we all just leave the room?
you guys should be able to open up the breakout room and then just move, leave the room. But for some reason, I'm not getting that option for myself. You guys go ahead and see if you can. Well, you actually probably don't want to leave, do you? Actually, see if you can move me as a co-host, John. Open up the breakout room and see if you can move referee.
Yeah, I can't. It's not letting me do anything to you. I can't drag you. I can't right-click and do anything with you.
When I click the breakout room menu, all I see is law commanders. I don't see the main room anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be called unassigned. Zoom updated since the last time I used it. There used to be a little button that said leave room.
I see a button leave room. Let me try and see the.
Where is it on your screen?
It's in the lower right-hand corner of my screen. And also, when I clicked breakout rooms, I can.
I see it. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
That's how you do it. All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Okay.
You
We'll
think?
answer any other questions as we go along. Like I said, really all you guys have to do is give common sense orders to your units as we go through the phases of the game, which you'll see on your roster. We have the simultaneous movement system. So under the quick reference sheet. So what we'll do is both units will give written orders. Both sides will give written orders for each of their units. We're not doing any misinterpretation. Then it's artillery and spells, then it's missile fire, then melee, second missile fire if you have units that can do that, like some bows can fire twice if they don't move, and then we do it again. So there's no other questions of a major order. We're going to start with the movement written orders phase. So each of you guys divide up your troops how you will. You can do that in your breakout rooms, or if you already decided, and then type in your written orders. When everybody's done, let me know, and then we'll move into the next phase. Sound good?
That sounds great.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
so
right.
we go into our room to do this, is what you're saying?
You can.
Yeah, I would do that, definitely.
Okay, let's do
That's
that
it.
then.
We have to
All
talk
right.
amongst ourselves as we type.
Yeah.
Eric,
All right.
All right. I'm joining the Law Commander's tent. I'll see you in a bit.
Well, if they're all going to go to the log commanders,
yeah.
you
Hey,
can just treat this as chaos commanders.
If I can get it to work. Oh, I gotta hit leave? No. Did I just leave the thing? No.
John and Paul, you guys just staying in this room?
yeah.
Okay, I'll leave the chaos view here. Walt, I moved your law view over to your law tent, if so you guys can look at it.
No, that would be fantastic. That was. Why does it want me to go to the chaos room? This must be part of John Sears' cunning.
That's part
Time
of
over us.
We've cast confusion on you.
We're hoping that you'll join the dark side.
You have cookies.
Well, all right, you guys are good to plan and chaos.
Okay, so we're free of the law. They're not here anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Eric, can you just flip flop B and C the cards? They're the same type of unit. It's just the way we've divided up stuff. I think it's going to be a little easier. Is that okay with you, Paul?
Sure.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah. All right. So I think I would push my C guys up to the river and bring the E guys in behind them.
Yep.
And then the D's, I think they're just going to pretty much hang up on top of that hill. They might get closer to the edge, but I'm not going to bring them down off that hill until stuff is really vulnerable, because I think they're going to get just wiped out. They seem fairly weak. Does that work for you?
Yeah. What do you think they're going to do? They're probably just going to go straight forward?
Yes. Yes, having played Walt, he is a very he just moves stuff forward. It's from what I've done, when I've encountered him before, like he's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of tricky plans, so that's what I would guess. So this Griff guy, though, he might be able to come up with something different. I think the battle is going to take place in between like those ruins on their side and the river, like the middle of the river. So if we can get over that river, I think that's where it's going to happen. Unless we want to defend the river. Eric, how deep is the river? Oh, you said it's 6 inches to get across? And it's rough terrain?
Yeah, it just cost you 6 inches of movement when you first impact the river. This is one of those chainmail things that's just an awful rule, but we have to live with it. So yeah, so it costs you 6 inches of movement whenever you hit the river. But it's not, no one drowns in it, right? Like you don't have to, anybody can cross the river. It's pretty shallow. Just costs movement to go into it.
And we can just stand in the river?
You can stand in the river. Most games I run, it's a big fight in the middle of the river at some
really?
point. So yeah.
So maybe we should plan to get them into this river part where it kind of splits, the river splits with then I can come around, one of us can come around to flank. Like one of us goes straight forward and kind of provide a target, let them come to us, and then the other one can sort of flank on the side of them.
Yeah, I don't know how. So yeah, we could push up and just hold our side of the river, and your wizard guy can just chuck lightning bolts at them.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to be slowed down trying to get into the river and charge us that way.
Yeah. We kind of also want to draw them to within range of your bowman.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay.
So maybe aim for that point in the river directly in front of V or C, like that.
The little island, you mean, like that?
Directly in front of C or V, that's sort of like arrow straight of the river. If we start pushing our troops there and make them sort of come to us, then maybe that'll be closer.
I could even move the ogres down into contact with V so that they can get that morale bonus.
Sure.
And like hold them in reserve for a little bit.
Yeah, if we can get them sort of bottled up in the middle, those ogres that come to the side just ran through.
Yeah. All right.
And those huge, like six health points, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so then what we're going to do then is sort of target that river point between V and C then, or something like that, or between in front of V. Okay, so then for my turn, then I'll probably attach A to V and then start moving them in that direction, I guess.
Got it. Okay. I can send C all the way up to the edge of that river, right? And like hold our bank straight forward.
Yeah. I don't know what yeah, that's fine.
Oh, we should probably be writing these orders down into our orders, right?
So which way is north? I guess north is the other side.
Yeah, I mean, according to this is actually, I built this table from the map in Keep on the Borderlands. So north is the law end of the table.
Okay.
This is that river that's just south of, like, if you know that module.
Yeah.
And do you have to call when you're turning, or is turning assumed?
Yeah, so there's some I didn't go into detail because I want to kind of keep this as narrative as possible, but if you look in your roster, it tells you like what movement cost. If you just want to wheel, which means one side of your unit stays put and the other wheels, I'll just measure from the outside inches. So if you like wheel towards a unit and your furthest guy moves 3 inches, that would just be 3 inches off your total movement. You could also do a maneuver, which is a right face, a left face, and a about face, and those take up a percentage of your movement or your entire movement. And elite units can do it better and faster, right? Because they're drilled.
Okay.
And if you want to know the specific rules, you can read those in the rules tab of the roster spreadsheet.
Is Vahavela a man or woman?
What? He's a demon necromancer. Whatever you want it, whatever you want it to be. Yeah.
The woods on top of the hill, they don't extend to the edge of the hill, correct?
No, you're pretty much where the furthest tree is. If you were to draw a line, it would be dot to dot, right?
Got it. So they're in the woods right now.
Yeah, so far your orcs are completely in the woods, and your ogres are too, really. They're like coming out of the woods.
Right.
The idea was that Vahivala brought the undead up to the, and then the monsters of the forest are joining him in this attack. The orcs and the ogres.
Man. So my unit C, you said the width of that unit is that 12 inches? Because there's 2 units that are each 6 inches wide?
Yeah, more or less. It's technically these are a little smaller. So that width is each one of your stands of these guys close ordered is about 4.5 inches. So it's about 9-inch total frontage.
Okay.
So yeah, the skeletons are mounted on like a close order base.
Got it.
And when you attach a unit, do you have to then go into like some specific formation, or can you basically just be next to it, or how far can you be?
Yeah, you just base-to-base contact. Generally, I mean, you want to put them, if you want to increase the frontage of your unit, I'd put them, you can, wherever you want. He can be behind if you want, but if you want to use them in the melee, you attach them to the side, you can put them in the middle. It's pretty fungible.
Hey, Eric, how many dice do I need?
It depends on how good you maneuver, but I mean, it can get kind of like you could, in theory, if you get like a really good attack on a weakened unit, you could do 20 dice, right? But just grab grab a handful and you just roll them.
Are you letting us roll our own dice?
Yeah, you can roll your own dice. So yeah, just
I love that. I love that.
D6s if you got them. If you don't, I can roll for you.
I'll let you roll for me. I don't care actually, but I think it's great to let people roll real dice themselves.
Yeah. Yep. I figured, that's something we can do.
I'm kind of insisting on it on the game I'm running tomorrow.
Are you? Do you want to? It's Walt, right?
Yeah, I'm Walt.
Do you want to roll the dice for us? Do you have 6 siders handy? Okay, we'll let you be the die roller for our team for all combats. Our orders are in. I need to go find my coffee mug before I faint, so I'll be off mic while you resolve the turn.
I made a point of getting the coffee ready before I showed up.
Okay, gang. So all orders are in. I'm gonna actually talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna go on mute unless I have a question, so that we can talk. My dad and I can talk, and we'll make the moves, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes. Cool.
All right. Very good.
They've got the moves like Jagger. I'm kind of liking this. Write the orders out in a order sheet, submit them, and then see how things work. Approach to this game.
Yeah.
It's very old-fashioned, but for some reason, this technology is making old-fashioned workable.
Yeah.
Like we play Rich McKee, who you know, he runs Middle Earth role playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that's a game I remember playing as a youngster, and we had a hard time making head or tail with it, because there was just so much you had to do. So much stuff you had to keep track of, and really complicated tables and stuff. But with this Roll20 thing, all that stuff is automated, right?
Yeah.
So combat, which used to be really laborious and on paper, You just click a couple of buttons and it resolves itself, because Scott is really good at programming macros and stuff.
Huh.
So, yeah, it's another example of something really old-fashioned being made playable by technology.
Yeah, it is nice to not have to worry about the mechanics, right? You can just tell the guy who knows the rules or the computer, like, here's what I'm trying to do, and then it just takes care of everything for you.
Well, it's really smart for role-playing companies, particularly when they have something that's complex, to invest time in creating a Roll20 style online play presence. Like that Alien game we were playing. Somebody took the time to do that already and was either selling it as a product or giving it away to help sell the game.
Yeah.
And I was vastly impressed with that. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
You did all this up front, so we don't have to. So.
Oh boy.
All I had to do was roll dice and die. Which is what I did.
Exactly.
Well, I shouldn't have to tell you that. No, that was Zach who died in literally the first combat of the first time.
Yeah. First 15 minutes of the game.
Yep.
Whoops.
He was turned it into Dallas.
Oh man.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be this adept at using Zoom tomorrow, but at least I can make the game happen. So,
fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. My Zoom embeds, we tested it multiple times. It was working fine, and then this morning everything refused to cooperate. So we're just limping along now.
Yep. I mean, I had the hardest time launching the client. I had the hardest time. So
yeah.
I hope it works tomorrow.
Alrighty, what do we have here in Walt's screen? Is a little something to confuse the enemy.
Actually, you're more on track than you know.
Oh, the blimps.
Yeah, they're barrage balloons.
Are you playing some Fight in the Skies?
I'm running a Toronto game tomorrow. Fixing these because I'm setting up the table after we play here.
This is actually my very first time on Zoom on my computer. I hadn't loaded it up yet till tonight, and this may change everything for me for gaming.
I like this way better than Google Meets, man. I'll tell you that. I'm
going to do my usual pitch. If any of you guys are into computer games, there's this really old, it's an arena top-down game. It plays kind of like a naval game, but it's a Star Trek game. And it was later ported to the Mac and called NetTrek. But the original
I know that game.
Okay, the original is called Empire, and it was run on a mainframe called Plato. And I run the Sunday night. Every Sunday night, we do about 4 hours of Plato, like a team game of Plato Empire. And if you go to cyber1.org, the word cyber, and then the number 1.org, you can get a free sign on and play for free. And we are more than glad to teach people how to play. It's a little twitchy. It's a pretty twitchy game, but it's like mixing a game of Risk with a sort of a twitchy first-person shooter, very team-oriented. You try to take over planets as a team, and we're always looking for players. So if any of you guys are into online games, it's probably one of the best designs ever done, and it was done around 1975. I've been playing since about 75 or 76.
Why don't you post the link in the chat?
I will do that.
Yeah, I missed it.
If I can find
I'm interested in anything.
I would love to have you guys come play, or we could do a session just with beginners, get a bunch of people together and just that way, you don't have the aces just destroying you every turn, because it's so fast paced. But I can't.
Game, Griff?
It's called Plato Empire? I'll put some links up and you can look at the stuff later.
Is
I'm
it,
gonna try and find the chat. Where the heck did the chat go on me?
All right, Dan.
Oh, there it is. Chat.
hover over the menu. There it is.
Yeah.
Does it have any relation to Walter Bright's Empire?
No.
Okay.
This is.
I love that game.
All right, guys, we are back with our moves, made to the best of my ability to interpret. What we can. Well, you guys aren't close enough to really see anything yet, so the moves are made. We are now in the missile phase. So I think, nobody. So any firing or anything like that you're doing would have to be in the order. So there was no declared firing of anything. Nobody is in melee combat, and so for those of you that do have missiles, remember to say who you want to shoot at.
Okay.
If you want to. I don't think anybody missed any opportunities. The distances were still pretty good. And I don't want to say what kind of any units did yet, because then that'll give away what those units are. So we're now in round 2. Simultaneous moves, so you guys can write your orders again. If you want to break out into your rooms, you can.
Were we
Okay,
supposed to...
how about if we have those guys go into their room this time, we'll alternate and we can just stay in this one like they did last time.
That's fine.
And that way, people watching can find out what our strategy is.
Sure thing. Were we supposed to update our fatigue on our units, though?
Yes. Yep. Good point. So yeah, I think everybody moved a standard move for the most part. So if you did update that on your roster, and you're going to be in charge. The one thing the player's really in charge of keeping track of is letting me know when a unit has reached its melee morale fatigue level.
Our units are actually flushed with battle joy, so they actually lose fatigue every turn. It's something the other side doesn't know, but yeah, it's
it's
just
like
the way it is. It's in chainmail. I swear it's in the rules somewhere. Optional rule 85.
This sounds like the Germans with their chemical version of being.
Oh yeah, hand out amphetamine to all your SS. Yeah.
It frees
1 point of fatigue for everything we did.
So on your roster, under the quick reference, it'll tell you what fatigue things cost. So a standard move is 1 fatigue. So I think pretty much everybody just did a standard move.
Yeah, you're right.
Some folks did go through rough terrain, which is woods or marsh. So if you're in either of those, then add another one. But that's it so far. You mostly build fatigue by fighting, which
All right.
If we move to the other breakout room, can you put up image of the map for us?
Yep.
There?
I'm gonna try.
We'll go to the other breakout room. It's fine.
That way the.
Hey there.
I saw that you put 2 fatigue for the ogres.
The orcs. It's because they were moving through woods. I thought that was what he was kind of hinting at. And they're going to be sitting up there like waiting pretty soon, and they're going to drop all their fatigue anyway, so I'm not that worried about it. All right. So I realize the skeletons don't have a high fatigue threshold. Like their threshold is low, so they're gonna have to they're gonna get to the river and have to rest. I'll let everything else catch up. Let me see. Let me take a look at our map here.
Yeah, those skeleton troops are just all the pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm thinking C will just keep moving up to that river and then hold once they get there, and then
How do you see the Oh, okay. I
Did
see.
you do pin it? Yeah. And then I don't know, your wizard guy should probably get into position to start chucking lightning bolts. So I'm fine with my ogre staying attached to him. You know, so you just move your wizard where you want him to be, and then I'll just have them follow along with him.
Yeah, I think I was going to try to move him up one more round, so we kind of get more range, and then I'll start firing.
Okay.
And it looks like what is the 24 inches? So yeah, I think we definitely need to be closer.
Yeah, but I think after you move, you will be in range.
Yeah. Can I fire? Can I move and fire? I can't.
I would try it.
Okay.
Because you're definitely going to move.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I guess this comes under the ranged. He said it's basically artillery, right?
Yeah.
Oh, artillery is taken on the third point, so that's. So move forward again, and then that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if my orcs are in range. What's the range on the orc bows is 15, I think.
Check orcs range 15. Yeah.
You know, I'm just gonna hold off. Do you know if we get like a bonus for charging downhill?
I don't know. I played this like at Gary Con like 6 years ago, and it was kind of a mess. So
Really?
it was still fun, but it was it was the guy who was running it was doing a lot of stuff. So like every 10 minutes he was off putting out a fire, and none of us knew how to. It was fun. It was cool, but yeah, I didn't really learn how to play.
Yeah.
I guess being uphill prevents charges. It slows movement, but going downhill is no problem. So let's see.
Oh, they've got 2 heroes, I just noticed.
Forces of chaos never bring enough chaos.
Yeah.
I wonder with zombies, do you have to have some dead in order to raise them, or can you just raise
It
them?
doesn't sound like it. Reading the spell, it just sounds like you pick a location and then zombies will show up there. Or you can attach them to an existing skeleton unit. Like you can replenish the ranks of a skeleton unit.
Yeah. What might be cool is if like, for example, say your skeletons engage a group of them, and then I can cast a zombie to come up behind them and flank them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's try that.
That would be kind of fun. It sounds like we're good.
Yep. All right. Let's head back.
Right?
They should maybe just try to shoot at that. Can we just say shoot at the nearest unit?
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay, now 5 armored foot.
Yeah, oblique, another oblique left, 45 degrees.
Bad guys.
Yeah, we're here, guys. Just so you know, we're spying
We
on you.
need to go to our. Let's go to
Let's
our
go
room.
to our room.
We're going to our room now. If I
You
can
did?
find my control. Weird interface. It keeps wanting to put me in the Chaos Commanders tent. Weird interface. It keeps wanting to put me in the Chaos Commanders tent.
Griff, let me see if there's something wrong with the assignment here.
Yeah, I'm just not. Sorry.
It only wants me to move you to there. Guess he figured it out. Cool.
Sorry, I was checking our technical difficulties. What's going on? They had to go to a breakout room.
Yeah, they weren't done.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. They weren't done their orders yet.
So what forces did you have to remove from our side since we didn't have the max number of players?
I just took out that one cavalry unit.
Oh, really? That's it?
Yeah, it was it was a pretty big unit that kind of occupied a lot of space because it was a light horse unit. But it both times I played this, they had almost no effect and routed really quickly. Because like light horse are like they lose 25% of their models, and then they have like a 9+ or whatever to route.
Oh my gosh.
It was kind of like, and it's also difficult because they're javelin armed missile troops, and so the idea, like Jeannettes, like Spanish Jeannettes, and they're supposed to like ride up and they have split fire, but that's really hard to explain to people who haven't played the game. And, and to give it in written orders was it never really worked. So I was like, well, I'll just take that out.
And then so it's weird that they can't come back. So I'm used to like in Ancients, right? You have the like light cavalry, they ride up, check their javelins, and then feign retreat and run away, hoping to get people to follow them. It seems like light horse like that could come back, from
so
a route.
They can. So they can do that in chainmail. It's just it never worked with the written orders of people understanding that you can do that, but you can only move. So the one time that someone tried to do that, they moved their full movement and then threw their javelins. Well, then you have no more movement in your second movement. They do. They have the split fire ability, which I think that special ability is still actually in your roster. It's still, I think I left it in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they can, but it's just like it was very hard to communicate that over the written orders and the virtual. So since no one ever used them to effective, and they do take up a lot of real estate, they were kind of right in the center. which the second time I ran it, the units basically stretched the entire length of the board, which then that means you really can't maneuver. There's no edges, like there's no ability to do that. There's still not a lot of ability in a medieval, type of pseudo medieval battle, but still, I wanted to give some ability for that.
Yeah.
And then I took out. What did I take out? I took out another medium horse unit from the wall side. So just kind of gave a little bit more room. And
awesome.
Yeah, but that's.
This is cool. How many times have you run it, chainmail, like this?
I've run chainmail. Actually, mass combat chainmail, I think I've only run it three times.
Wow.
I've run man-to-man scenarios a few times on this table.
Yeah.
But the mass combat only 3 times.
And do you have any idea how much Gary and that group were running chainmail? Were they playing it weekly for years, or was it like a couple times a year they'd get together and run it because they were also playing other stuff?
I think like daily.
What? No way. Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to people who would just stop by on a random day. And it was like Gary's basement. And also I talked to a guy who was playing in Don Kay's garage. So I think like when this got hot I'm not the guy.
Yeah.
Peterson knows all this stuff, but whatever they call it was the Castle and Crusade Society.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
They had a couple different groups, so the Lake Geneva, WTA, or whatever it was. But at various times in various places, it was, when the weather was nice, pretty much daily, I think, or often, very often.
Wow. I had no idea. It's like you hear like the Beatles, right? Like they were playing in some dive bars or something for, every day for years, honing their skills. So it's interesting that they were doing that too.
So,
yeah.
So,
and it's
I'm sorry.
No.
Do you have any references for how you learn chainmail, like how you interpreted the rules?
So I played a lot. So my main was playing at Gary Con, which is a convention in Lake Geneva every year. And there's a guy there I mentioned before, Paul Stormberg, who runs, he calls it the Legends of Wargaming. Yeah. And so, there, just playing with all those people, and over years. And the cool thing about that is he tries to get.
Okay, our move is in.
Awesome. All right. He tries to get the people who wrote the game, or at least were early players of the game, to run the game. So, like Mike Reese runs Tractics. Jeff Perrin, when he's healthy in there, runs like Cavaliers and Roundheads. Mike Carr runs Don't Give Up the Chip, because neither of the creators are alive, but he's an early player. And like that. So it's cool. You get Dungeon. You get to play the prototype Dungeon board with Dave Magary. So it's awesome.
I ran the original rules for D&D Aerial Combat, which was based on Mike Carr's game. It was Battle in the Skies, and ran that over on the Fight in the Skies table at the last in-person Gary Con, and it was fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. Cool. All right, you guys talk amongst yourselves about the early days of D&D, and I will go make these moves.
All right.
Now it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
Yeah. My son.
The big thing is just what's that?
No, go ahead.
Just whether our orders make sense to our host, and whether our troops actually go where we think they're supposed to go.
Yeah, Griff's kind of talks like Patton, so he's throwing out these obtuse military terms. My head's spinning.
Is there a word for obtusity or obtusiveness or what? Yeah, I can't even say it. Do you guys? You guys haven't been to Gary? You guys haven't been to Gary Con yet?
I have not.
I have not.
What about you, Paul?
Do you want to go?
Yeah, I've been a few times.
Oh, okay.
I'd be willing to sacrifice going to one of the HMGS conventions to go to GaryCon.
I think it's amazing. It's the best convention ever.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite con of the year.
Yeah, it's small enough that you get to like spend a lot of time, like you get to know people. It's not like this giant. You know how they do that thing where the running. It's like the running of the bulls at Gen Con, and they open the doors and the people storm through, and I don't know. It's just like the last thing I want is that kind of environment where it's just so many people that I can't even meet people and get to know people.
It's definitely grown, like, astronomically in the last 5 years or so.
Yeah.
When it was back at their hotel, it was very very small, intimate. I thought it was really cool.
It's kind of at a critical mass point. Like, it seems like it's still small enough to be really cool. I've only been to the last two that were in person, and but the second time I went, I would run into people that were like, "Oh, I know you. You're the guy I gave that badge to, or I gave you that sticker or whatever." And it's like, yeah, you just kind of run into people from the previous time. I'm gonna get some. I'll be back. I'm gonna go on mute.
All right.
My son just tuned in, and he says, "What are you guys doing? You're just talking to each other." Like, well, the enemy are off planning their moves, and we're waiting for them to return. And in a war game, you do spend a lot of time just hanging out and chatting while people push little lead figures around.
Often like real battles.
Yeah.
I can no longer see our chaos cannon.
What do you mean?
It's not possible for me to view it anymore in this room.
Oh yeah, maybe it got left behind in the breakout room or something.
Seems like that. How is the grass made? Is that flock or is that like pink?
I don't know. It does look like flock. Although, how would you get that flock out of the sand?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I don't know.
From the battle cam, it looks like we're getting close.
Yeah. And now I can start to see what the enemy troops approaching might be armed with. What they might be.
Well, likely we're just people. Since we're the good guys, so these were kind of boring.
We are but poor, simple travelers. Come to the river for a drink.
Pray, come across the river. Dwell on the other side with us.
How's it going, guys?
Hi, Joe.
Hold on, I gotta turn off the YouTube stream, which is about 30 seconds.
Hey, Joe, welcome.
Yeah, looks like you guys are having fun.
All right, it's about to pop off. So you're just in time for movement. Just happened on round 2, and artillery and spells fire is taken. And we do have one. Vahival of the Vile fires off a lightning bolt. All right.
Uh-oh.
So, order forces of chaos. You need to give me a inch declaration. Up to your maximum, obviously, and a direction. So you can say 12 inches, and you can, say towards the center of Unit 2, however, or that tree over there, whatever you want. And then I will give you the results.
Can you give me the chaos cam? Like, I can't see it.
It has returned. You should be able to grab it now.
Yeah, I moved everything back to this channel.
Oh, here it is.
And then getting some battle camera time. We'll zoom in on the Evola as he attempts to
Look at those ogres.
some arcane damage.
Look at those skeletons. I have some of the same figures.
Battle cam. Yay. Pin the battle cam. Oh.
All right, Evola, what do you got?
24 inches in the middle of that rank of soldiers directly across from the vial under.
That's gonna scorch.
That'll leave a mark.
Yeah.
Evola, aiming towards that point.
What was that?
Where I'm touching, is that where you want to shoot? Can you see?
I believe so. Yes.
All right.
He's gonna say, "I believe so," and then be like, "Oh no!" when the result is low, like, "Oh no, I meant over there."
This is a test fire because I have no idea how this works. So.
Well,
Yeah.
that fire was on the money.
Holy cow!
6 inches back, you just scorched off 3 of their models.
Oh, ow.
Nice.
Okay.
Pretty heroic looking one.
What do you say? The forces of law just retreat now, fully off the board. Nobody said anything about lightning bolts.
And then, of course,
Yeah, we don't have any.
these units would fill in. So, but yeah, 3. So we'll mark in there because we'll tally that for the. Always put those models right off to the side until the end of turn phase where we figure out what happens. All right, so that's the only artillery. Next up is missile fire. We did have 2 missile fires. One was Unit 3 on the wall side. It's going to fire at the nearest unit, which for them would be these Unit D. And you guys can see where your volley lands.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Oh, too bad.
Okay, right along here. And then also, I believe Unit 6. Firing at the nearest unit, which is Unit B, and here's their range. I don't think you're Hold on, let me lean over. That impacts it hits the front rank.
Oh man.
Oh, come on.
Okay, so missile fire. There is a chart here. I think I included it in your guys, but the way you do it is you take them into groups of 10, which you have 10 as your number firing. You're firing against the basically unarmored troops, which is light troops. So you roll a single die, forces of law, and tell me what you get.
Okay, hang tight. 5.
A 5. All right. So that is 5 hits. What you do notice, though, is that your arrows, your bolts in this case, seem to be going through the rib cages of these guys and not necessarily killing as many as you thought they should. But you do still crack a few skulls.
All right.
All right, so that's missile fire. Next will be melee. We don't have anybody in base-to-base contact. So update your fatigue for movement. Unit 2 lost 3 guys, which I do not think that is going to put you in any danger of morale because you need to lose 1/3. So you need to lose 7 guys or 8 guys. And the other unit has no problem with their morale either. So that's the end of round 2. And if there's no questions, we can go on to written orders to round 3. First blood has been drawn, and first bone.
Okay.
All right, guys.
So where do we mark the casualties for our law units that got lost? Is that on the?
You don't have to. The models represent that, but if you wanted to, you could track it in the number column. That's the.
No, that's fine. It's the models work. That's fine. We just use the models.
Yep. Yeah, the original hit points, the actual figures on the table.
See, I had always thought that the models, the figures, actually had hit points, but it was like an interpretation based on D&D. So if it was like 10 men per figure, I always thought you roll the dice and you get a die roll for each man, or for each. It was just sort of a different interpretation when I read Chainmail back in the day. So it's interesting to see how you're doing it is just a variant on that idea.
Yeah, and you might be right. It's hard to say because the way it's written, especially with the 3 sections, the mass combat, the man-to-man, and the fantasy, the rules are...
They're impenetrable.
They really are. I've never met... so there's a guy in the Scrum Con, the group named Keith, who runs Chainmail, and he runs the Battle of Emerny Meadows, which is the precursor battle to the Temple of Elemental Evil stuff. Mm-hmm. And he does things differently than I do. He interprets some of the. I mean, we're pretty close. We kind of come from a similar tradition, but he does some things different on how he calculates like charges and spears and cavalry, and just slightly different because the rules aren't very clear.
I read them as a kid. And I'm sorry if I'm slowing down our game, but I read them as a kid and I could not understand them. And I got together with my buddy and we just took 2 figures and did a battle between 2 figures, a melee, and then it was like, oh, that's how that works,
Yeah. And with the man-to-man rules, it's, that kind of stuff changes and it's interesting stuff.
Yeah. All right. We can go off to our little room of evil, of lawful conniving then, I guess.
Alrighty.
Let's go connive.
Let's connive. Oh, I know. I had one last question for our ref.
Yep.
Our unit. Let me see if I can pin our general view. That's our view. Our unit number 1, as I understood it, and unit number 3, they were moving 90 degrees sideways across the board. And so our move seems to not represent what I thought they were doing. And I also thought our unit number 1 is a cavalry unit, and maybe I'm mistaken.
Yeah, so what I had was right oblique. So they were in column facing left, and then right oblique, 45 degrees. I assume that meant they face back forward.
No, they're still traveling sideways, but diagonally toward their right. If they're facing sideways to the right, we knew this would be confusing when we set in the orders, but you literally have to look at they're facing 90 degrees sideways. They're traveling in that direction, but they're going obliquely so that they're going to end up behind our line of infantry is basically what the idea was. And our archers at the end there are doing a sideways move as well. So our 2 units on the end ended up in the wrong places based on what we thought we were doing.
I think that your military academy trained general sent orders to a bunch of like hillbillies who are like, I don't know.
It's our elite cavalry unit, and they're like, I don't know, drink some wine, right. Figure it out.
Grab your sword and shield and charge.
Yeah, I guess we can interpret that as they got,
misunderstood their rules.
Yeah, to go right at the enemy as necessary.
And we agreed when we did the. So I don't know how to best communicate what we want to do because I'm basing it off of the facing of the unit. It's like if the unit is 90 degrees to the side, moving.
Yeah, 90, you know. Right. And in fact, when I looked at it, I interpreted that you must have meant something that you didn't. You meant exactly what you said, and I misinterpreted it.
Okay, so the game's over. We're quitting. That's it.
Chaos wins.
All right. We're off to our little secret chamber. So okay, off we go. If I can figure it out again. Leave. No, I don't want to leave.
Okay, are they gone? I believe they are gone.
Jeez, first round and my skeletons went to pieces.
I think we just won the game, right? You have the range on your lightning bolt. Their archers can like pick apart skeletons. Who cares? I think we just stay where we are and just keep shooting the lightning bolts at them and disintegrating them until they decide it's better to get into melee with us, and then they're gonna have to slowly come across that river into range, and then we'll hit them with ogres and your whites. Like,
sounds good. I was thinking of moving the bee skeletons up again because
Yeah.
they're sort of like angle. So maybe when they do hit us, then you'll be more in position to flank.
so sorry, you want to move the bee skeletons forward?
Yeah, just straight up another round. And everybody else, I'm just gonna leave where they are.
Yeah. Oh, he's clearing dead.
If not-
Okay.
Gotta leave the bee there.
Yeah. Yeah, because then when they get close to that river, right, and eventually your lightning bolt is going to be too dangerous to shoot, right? Because you're going to pick a point and it's going to do 6 inches back towards you.
Yeah.
Then they're probably close enough to you for you to throw your other's spell at them, the surprise spell. Do we?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe. I see you're saying if I stay, B stays there, and that gives me more rounds to cast the lightning bolt. Basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a really good position. So
Right,
like,
so
I'm just gonna start
Okay.
resting my guys and force them to spend their fatigue coming at us, right? Like,
yeah, I'll just hang out and cast some. So, do you have any guess on how much that unit can move?
which unit?
The unit that I hit with the lightning bolt last time.
I think they're probably just foot, so probably 9 inches. So they can probably get up to. Let's see. They can probably get to the river. I don't think they can cross the river. So you probably have 1 round of lightning bolts. I would assume that they're going to have to contact C and be unable to charge the wizard, though, right?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about what the range should be if they move a full 9 inches. And I'm trying to calculate. What I should lightning bolt range.
So you did.
And then after the round, maybe I'll just move around to the other side of the ogres and start lightning bolting that other group out far off.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Or continue, as long as I have room, I'll keep killing these guys in the front. Or trying anything. As long as I still have as long as I can still attack them.
Yeah.
But as soon as they get close, then I'll switch to those guys that are far off.
Yeah. As far as range, I don't know. If they move 6 to 9 inches, then you would do what, like 18 inches?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So if they can move 9. Say they move half. That's 4, and it was 24, so it's 20. So if I pick 20, then that should cover, right?
So if you do 20, they'd have to be, if they're within 14 inches of you, then it's going to be you're going to miss them. So C, the width of C is 9. I would do like 18.
18.
Yeah.
6. All right.
But it's up to you. It's your wizard. You can make a decision. And maybe look at the other camera. It might give you a different view. Because I thought you were too far on that first shot. So,
Yeah.
but you nailed them. So I would go with what you want to do.
Right, I think we're good to go.
Yep. It doesn't sound like they have any offensive spells either.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Because when you chuck that lightning bolt, they were like, we don't have anything like that.
It's probably because their other hero abilities are scary.
Yeah. What was in Chainmail? You had like heroes and superheroes or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember what they even do.
It'd be nice if you could like zoom in on the.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay for now, but I do miss being able to like just point at a unit or get down close, see what things look like, and I do miss that.
I mean, this is kind of cool because the only time I ever seen anybody to play chainmail with is Eric.
Yeah, yeah.
With this kind of setup, you could imagine getting a regular game.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, this does allow you to connect with folks from anywhere in the country, because I'm guessing the pool of chainmail players is dwindling and getting smaller every year. Are you playing anything else this weekend?
I'm gonna play the Merc.
Oh yeah, that should be fun.
I used to love that game when I was younger.
Yeah.
You guys look like you're good. You have any questions for me?
I don't think so.
Had a technical question.
Yeah, shoot.
What is the green stuff for grass? Is that flock or is that paint?
Flock, yeah. Yeah, I've tried various things. I mean, this is here. When I first started with the sand table, I like sprayed the whole table. I would take green paint, mix it with water and a little bit of glue, and I would spray the whole table. It took forever. It looked awesome because it looked like grass, but and then the glue would help it hold whatever shapes I had. But that just took forever. And so I switched to just getting some flock and just throwing enough flock down to give the appearance of grass, and then it's a lot easier.
And how do you get rid of the flock after you're done? Or do you sand it?
Just mix it in, and it just kind of eventually one day it'll be as much flock as sand. But now it's so far it just mixes in, right? It and kind of like disappears. If I were to like to go dig my hands around in an area, it would turn up and look mostly like sand.
Huh.
Eventually it'll be enough flock in there, I guess, that I'll need less flock, but
it's interesting. How do you hold the shape of the hills? Do you just pile it up and hope it stays, or do you use water or something to keep it rigid?
Yeah, so I'll always have to wet the sand before you rearrange it, and just a little damp, and unless it's an extreme hill, it mostly holds. If I have an extreme hill, like I've done a setup like a 172 scale World War II, where I had a gun emplacement on a very steep bank, and I would just spray it with some watered down PVA glue, and it holds. I mean,
yeah.
I did a canyon with like almost 90-degree sides in that scale, so it was like about 6-7 inches tall. and I would use boards to like shape it, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
just sprayed it a liberal amount of PVA, watered down PVA, and it held for months. And
Huh.
months and, yeah.
No kidding.
I was surprised. I didn't think it would. And that was one of the first things I did as a test. So I wonder, what can I do with this? And I made that like board that was like canyons leading up to that embankment over like almost like a D-Day type of, or like an El Alamein type of thing. And it held for months.
Yeah, because those depth, like the depth is the thing that is so hard to pull off, right? Like you can stack hills on top of tables, but getting that depth, that's awesome.
Yeah, for regular gaming, especially with modern gaming rules, the sand table is wildly impractical. Like I don't suggest anybody does that. It's way easier, especially now with. I mean, back then they didn't have XPS phone.
Yeah.
In the 70s, it didn't exist, to my knowledge, or if it did, you couldn't get. There was no Home Depot to go get it at. I don't think it existed at all. I think they were still doing like that's the whole asbestos fill insulation, right?
Yeah.
But now with XPS foam, you can make anything in minutes. Once you get good with that stuff, like I got the Proxon cutter.
Yeah.
I can whip out a hill in a reusable hill in 20 minutes, literally of crafting work.
Right.
It's great. You want to make it look good, take an hour, right? But then you have it forever. You can stack it. It's lightweight. You can transport it. So, yeah, the sand table does not make a lot of practical sense today. And for me, it was more just an exercise in doing something old school.
Awesome. And tell me about your camera setups. Are you just using? So I see the one that goes on the table. It's just a phone. The two fixed views, are those just additional phones? Are you using just 3 phones?
No, they're webcams. Yeah,
Oh,
it would have been better. Actually, the phone quality is better, but
Wow.
yeah, those are expensive.
Yeah.
So no, I just have like old laptops and stuff running.
Got it.
External Logitech, or this one's Logitech, and the other ones are cheaper brand. I mean, they're still pretty decent webcams, but they're not like maximum technology. But for like the steady state shot, you don't need them to be super high quality. And the best quality is the phone, which is why you have that, and it's easier mobile. So
Get it down there. Yeah.
Yeah, I would never have done anything like this if it wasn't for forced quarantine. So
we're gonna do this next weekend too, right?
yeah.
I'm in.
Well, I was actually talking to John beforehand. I was like, because most of us around here, a lot of us in this group that are relatively near each other, within an hour drive, are all vaccinated.
Okay.
And I'm like, the hell are we doing this virtual? And we could have gotten together, but obviously not everybody can, and we can reach a broader audience.
Yeah.
We were talking when we were in our little room the first time, we were talking about how this actually creates fog of war that you can't have in a face-to-face game. And this is almost like the best way to play a miniatures game is this way. Because you just order your troops around and they do what they do, and you're like, okay, well, I guess that's what they did.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely one of the coolest parts of this is being able to explore those things. That if it wasn't for that, it would be pale.
Where is everybody? What state? What city?
The guys running the con and myself are around the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. metro area.
Oh, okay. I'm in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, Paul. Paul, whereabouts you?
I'm in Illinois.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
What are you near? City-wise?
Chicago.
Okay.
All right, gang. I'm going to go ahead on mute. All the orders are in. I will be back shortly.
All right.
Paul, weren't you at Joe's house for Jared running a Frost? Rift to the Frost. That's I thought I recognized you. I was in that game. That was a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's your halfling shield riding.
That's right. That was me. He was shredding down those stairs.
This whole virtual thing, just
hundreds and hundreds of feet.
I played with some guys in Brazil. Played with 4 guys in Brazil like a month or 2 ago, and that was just a blast, and all we used was Skype, and I ran them through Blackmoor and Tonnisborg Dungeon, and then I played another game with some guys, and I was a player. We played the Black Hack rules. I don't know if you've ever played that, but really good rules. And we had guys in England, a guy in like Norway, I think, a guy in Germany, and a guy in Japan, and me in Colorado. So it was just like this global game. It was just amazing.
That is awesome.
I'm becoming a complete convert to this whole virtual thing.
Would have thought the pandemic would have made gaming even more popular.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, people are doing more gaming than before.
Yeah.
Because there ain't a hell of a lot else to do.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I've had both my shots now, so.
Me too.
You know. Yeah, well, it's either that or isolated pandemic drinking, and
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, that's just sad.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when did you get your second shot?
2 weeks ago now.
Oh, right on. I got mine Monday. I had zero side effects.
Oh, nice.
Eric
Unless you-
got his yesterday, my son. So,
All right, gang, I'm back because Chaos, being very prudent, as chaotic armies are not going to be, held to recover their fatigue. So that was an easy move. Law did some craftiness that you guys can see reflected, forming up their lines, and it's artillery phase. So Vahivala, dialed in, can go ahead and give me a direction and distance call out.
Right. I want to go.
They didn't draw as close as we suspected they might have.
Yeah. I want to go 20 inches to the center of that line directly across from the vial.
Basically, targeting the middle of the same unit right here.
Yep.
Right, 20 inches. Choking
Wait,
up.
are we just getting another lightning bolt?
Yep. And dialed in. Eva, go ahead and roll me a single die and let me know what you get.
Single die. All right. 4.
All right, you got 3 guys. One was halfsy, so I gave you the.
oh, jeez.
That seems to be the general resolution mechanic in chainmail. Gary mentioned several times. If roll a die, and I assume he needs 50-50. All right. So that was the artillery into missile phase. We have. All right. The Unit 6 only used a ranging shot last time, so they are loaded. Unit 3 did not fire because they moved full. All right, so they are firing at the suspicious armored dudes, which is well within their range. Just gotta check one thing, guys.
Evil music now.
All right, so that unit, you see all of your bolts landing right into that unit, but not a single one drops.
Uh-oh.
In
We're
fact,
doing great. Huzzah! Huzzah!
Yeah, this is the problem with playing good. Is like you don't have any units that do anything remotely like that.
Excelsior!
Keep it up, guys. You're doing great.
Being targets.
Right, so again, no melee. Nobody closed in yet. Unit 2, you've lost 6 guys, which still does not put you at your first morale check. You lose 1 more, and you'll have to make your first morale check.
Hey, Eric, we just recover 1 fatigue for resting, correct?
No, if you don't do anything, you recover all your fatigue.
Oh.
Yeah, the real fatigue starts adding up when you melee multiple rounds in a row. That's what really makes you tired. But yeah, so you guys are back to 0 fatigue.
Okay.
All right. Any questions?
Does the recovery count as resting in terms of fatigue, or is it an attack?
It doesn't. It doesn't give you your fatigue back, casting effectively artillery. Although, as you can see, you don't really need to worry too much about that with him. All right. So it's round 4. And we are about 2 hours in. Does anybody need to take a break?
I wouldn't mind a 5-minute if everybody's okay with that. I'll be in the breakout room for law.
Yep. We'll attach the break to the order session. So, break, bio break, then do your orders, but we'll expect it to go about, 5 minutes longer than normal.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, so is Law going to go into a breakout room? Should we stay in ours? Should we stay here?
I'm going into the breakout.
Okay, so we'll stay here. All right. I think we're doing great.
Yeah, so far. Until they get next to us.
Well, we'll see. So I think I'm gonna pull the orcs down off that hill now that they've abandoned that flank. I'm not really worried about the orcs, keeping them at bay. So I'll bring them down to the river and I can start shooting them. But that one unit that you're just filling full of lightning bolts, we should be able to rout that thing pretty soon.
Right. Well, yeah. So I'll just I'll probably attack that same unit again, and then I'm just gonna hold.
Yep. Okay.
Hey, Walt dropped out of the Zoom. Guess he took take a break very seriously.
All right. My guys. All right, my orders are in. I'm probably gonna, use the restroom and grab a drink. And I'll be right back.
Hey, Walt.
So have they been moving units yet?
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had us on mute. I was just asking Paul if you guys had moved units yet.
No, the other team, Walt's not here.
Oh.
Disconnected and just reconnected, and it looks like he's having trouble getting his audio back up. So I don't know what's gonna happen. In fact, let me pop over and tell Griff just to go ahead.
Yeah. So Paul, you said you played in Jared's game, the Frost Giant game.
Yeah.
Was that face to face?
Yeah, that was before that was the before times.
Were you living in this area, or did you come here just to play his game?
I used to live there. Yeah.
Gotcha. When did you move?
Not too long ago.
Yeah. My wife's family is in Chicago, so we've spent a lot of time going out there. I like that area.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we haven't seen much because it's
Yeah. Everything's locked down, huh?
yeah, pretty much. I've been to the couple of Scrum Cons now.
Yeah.
It's a great con. So.
Thanks. We like doing it. I mean, this is, just to get us through this year, but we're already thinking about the next one, what we want to do with that. So I hope it keeps going for quite a while. Do you know, are there conventions out in your neck of the woods now in Chicago?
I don't know. Haven't been out here
Haven't
long
looked.
enough.
Yeah. I get the sense that the East Coast has a lot of like the war game conventions and stuff, and it's not as prevalent, like in California or something like that. I had no idea though if the Midwest has something similar.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe see you at a con at some point.
Yeah.
But you know how to win. Yeah, there's a lot of great gaming on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Moving out there for a while.
There's another convention. I think they are in Maine. I think they're going to do theirs online this year as well in May. So I was thinking, I've never been to it, and it's so far from where I live. I was like, I don't think I can ever get there for this convention. But I was thinking of running a game online for them because distance is no issue anymore at this point.
Is that Con of the North?
I can't remember. It's HMGS just sent it out in their emails yesterday, and I glanced at it. I was like, oh, hey, I could actually run a game,
Yeah, I saw somebody forwarded that to me too. I didn't even know there was a chapter up there. I thought I was on all their lists.
Yeah.
But they're out of Maine, apparently.
Yeah, yeah.
Or something?
What's that?
Walt, did you want to go to your breakout room?
Sure. I thought it only gives me leave meeting. That's what put me up last time.
I might have to reassign you. No? If you click breakout room, you can't go to law.
Let's see. Oh, there it is.
I think Griff's almost ready because we got to kind of step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody forwarded me that call for virtual GMs just yesterday. I haven't decided if I got to look at the dates and see if I can do something.
I mean, it's like you put in a lot of work to run something online like this. You might as well use it, while you can.
Yeah,
right?
I've gotten good use out of running this a few times.
Yeah.
In fact, I was about to change the table, and when Joe hit me up, and I was like, well, since I've still got it set up, I might as well run it again.
So this is an 8x6. How big is your other table?
I just there's nothing out there now, but I do two 6 by 2 and change folding tables I can pop up, so it'll make it a 6 by 4 and a few inches.
Yeah. And you said your group is getting together to play BattleTech?
Yeah, I'm having a couple of the guys over. We usually play at a local shop, but their game room's not open back up yet. So
that's a big group. Isn't that a big group at that goes to that
big.
shop? Yeah.
Yeah. The email list is 45 people.
Yeah.
Now, on any given night of our game night, again, this is all pre-COVID, we might have anywhere from 6 people show up to play a particular game to 25.
Yeah.
The BattleTech campaign's a big draw.
Yeah. That's how I know it. I read a write up of one of the campaigns that was run over a very short time or something, and there's all these different factions and stuff, and I was like, oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, so the guy who's kind of runs the main campaign that's been going on has actually written fiction for BattleTech before.
Oh wow.
So he's really into the whole thing, and the local Catalyst rep takes care of us, right? He's always stopping by. He'll post some of our write-ups on the the BW board, whatever the boards are, the Catalyst boards. He gives us what he can within reason, lets us know what's going on with the company. We were all over that Kickstarter that just came out. I mean, God, I think our group probably ordered about 1,000 mechs.
Wow.
Yeah. There was so many people signed up for it and got I think I got about 70 mechs or something like that. And the guy Jeff, he really went wild. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff. And one time he did a mega battle where we pushed together like a bunch of those 6x4 tables, and it was all day long. It was like 12-hour battle.
Wow.
People came and went. It was the Alpha Strike rules, so it's kind of really easy to hand off. Like, hey, here's the card. Like, you don't need much more than that.
Yeah.
And multiple. It was an entire planetary assault. Where regiments arriving, others retreating, and so there was like, and then at certain points in time, he would come in and say, okay, now this is happening. Really well done. He's got terrain. This is probably one of the write-ups you saw was probably this battle.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's really pretty awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, so there's a guy, so I have another group, a smaller group that I play with, and we've been meeting virtually. And so I ran BattleTech with Tabletop Simulator for them. And one of the guys, I don't think he'd played like the PC games, but he'd never played tabletop, I don't think. And he's gotten into it so hard. Like he's bought tons of mechs. He's playing, with just his family and everything. But I'm really looking forward to going back to face so we can actually, play for real with the actual metal mechs and stuff like that. So
cool, man. Yeah, maybe we can set something up.
Yeah.
You guys come up one day and we do a big battle on the sand table.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think Catalyst did a really good job with the re-release of Classic BattleTech.
Yeah.
Really, really good stuff. So I'm pleased. A lot of the unseen mechs are coming back.
Yep.
That law's been settled. I mean, for 30 years, we haven't seen a Phoenix Hawk, for God's sake.
Right,
so,
right. Yeah.
Man. And those are all my favorites, the originals from the... I just took it upstairs. I snagged myself one of the few original box sets where it's called Battle Droids.
No way. Awesome.
Yeah, I snagged one on eBay for not a crazy amount of money. I don't think the person knew what they had.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because there's only a couple hundred of those, and then Lucasfilm sued them.
Yeah.
And had to stop production and rename it. I mean, which actually probably ended up working out good for them because that's when they came up with the term mech, and battle mech and all that, and then they copyrighted all that stuff. So
that's interesting.
Bethesda had a lot of interesting original legal decisions around legal. Like I remember, who's the guy who wrote Neuromancer? William Gibson, the author, has commented on a few interviews that he totally could have sued them for Shadowrun if he wanted to, but he decided not to.
No kidding.
He just stole so many of his stuff from that was a trilogy I think he wrote.
Yeah.
Like the Cyberpunk trilogy. Yeah.
Huh. I didn't realize that he was like aware of that or what was going on. That's interesting.
Yeah. He's very aware because he actually, I was watching some interview with him or referenced, and he mentioned that. He's like, yeah, there was definitely some legal possibility there, but I chose not to.
Yeah, it's weird. So I'm launching a miniatures Kickstarter in like a week or so, and I've got some minis that are inspired or homages to like sci-fi shows from like the 70s and 80s, and I have people contacting me like, hey, can't you make this exact miniature? Can't you make something from this show, whatever? I'm like, that is so risky. But I see other companies producing, they're like exact copies of Battlestar Galactica guys or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is too risky for me. I'm not.
It's a dangerous area, and everyone in this hobby thinks they're a lawyer and knows that unless blah, blah,
right.
blah. And I'm like, man, that's not how the law works.
Yeah.
It's all about money. It's like, do you have it, and can they get it? And
right.
Really, what ends up happening in like down the line in front of it never gets that far because I just had a friend who published a something in the RPG realm, and a larger company came down and like stepped on his neck.
Wow.
About his product, and it was like, there's no way that but he can't defend that. He can't pay a lawyer to like defend that in court. So he had it. You get when I was publishing, we had somebody send a C&D letter to us about the name of one of our books, and it was clearly like no way it was even infringing in any way, shape, or form. It was just the name, which was what do we call the Well of Souls was the name of our product, and somebody who had who had a board game about that. Like Well of Souls, that's been used in novels, it's
Yeah.
in the Bible. I mean, it's like there's no way you're going to defend that copyright of that name. Nothing else about it was similar. Completely different genres, like, you know, but you know, you just
Yeah.
anybody can send a letter, you know.
Yeah. Right. Right. And you got to deal with
I'm
it.
gonna go see what these guys are doing because we gotta get going, or we're
Yeah.
not gonna finish.
He's worried about finishing, but this is already over. We've already won.
Hey, evil agrees.
Yeah.
All right, they're coming back over shortly. I'm gonna go ahead and start making these moves.
Hi, Eric's dad.
All right, gang. Let's see here. We gotta move the camera back. All right, a lot of action. A lot of action. Not really. A lot of holding. But we do have some interesting developments. Number one, a unit has appeared out of the marsh at the far end of the law line, and seems to be armed with bows.
Our hippogriffs. Yay.
In unison, pull back and fire. But first, we got artillery, which you'll be surprised to know that the Evil of the File is going to fire another lightning bolt. So give me a direction and range, please, sir.
Okay, I'm going to go with. I can't see the screen. Let's see. Is it 20 again? I don't think they moved. Huh?
I think they did get, well, I don't know. They did get closer to, hold on, let me check here. Eric keeps standing in front of the camera.
No, I'm back in front of the camera again.
Sorry. I was looking at a different unit. Yeah, I think you're right. I would do the same thing.
All right. I'm almost wondering if we should hit that. What's that thing behind that rank that just showed up in front there? Is that a catapult?
So all the way on there.
Here?
I think you're looking at the marker for our unit designation number.
Okay, I see.
Oh, yeah. No, that's...
It does look like a catapult, though, from that angle. We'll take it.
So I'm going to go 20 in the center of that same unit I've been fighting again.
Well, we know what happens there, so go ahead and roll me a single die again. 4, 5, and 6, you get the extra model.
Where's the dice went? Because I can't see it.
Single die, Paul.
Okay, hold on. A 3.
All right, so you kill 2 then. All right, regular missile fire, regular order. We got Law firing back with this new unit, which is in range, I think. Oh, no, out of range. Unit. Law, do you want to see where those shots land?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a bit shy. All right, so the crossbows, they need to reload this round, as I recall. So they won't be able to fire. The longbowmen fire at the ogre unit. They are within range. All right, forces of law. You have 10 firing against half armor. Give me 1 die, please.
Roger that. 5.
All right, we do effectively 3 hits of damage to one of their stands there. Then Chaos, you actually have some other missile fire.
Yep.
Orcs. Well within range of their closest unit. And you have 40 divided by 2 because it's a mixed unit, so 20. So you're going to roll 2 dice and let me know what you get on each one.
I got a 5 and a 1.
All right, actually, you can combine those. Wow. All right, so you do 3 damage. Which is
Sweet.
3 knights.
Sweet.
Oh my god.
Good job, orcs.
Wow, that doesn't seem possible.
Man, we're outclassed.
So that's it for missile fire. The knights definitely don't have to make a morale check. The unit 2, the heavy foot, does. You've lost 33% of your unit. So Law, I need 2 dice, and you need to score a 7 or higher to stay in the fight.
They love it. It's a 10.
Perfect. And you get to add a 1 to that because your leader's attached. So no problem. They don't rout. Knights don't rout. Nobody else needs to roll. Next round. Round 5, guys. Orders.
We'll go to the Chaos Crypt.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the screen here before we go over.
You want to move Chaos Camera over, guys?
Yes, please. Hello.
Hello.
All right. Here.
All right.
So far, so good.
Oh my God, we're just cleaning up here. All right, so if I were them, I would be trying to get those knights across the river and either charge the orcs or the ogres. If they charge the orcs, I would like to hit their flank with the ogres, and if they hit the ogres, then I'll hit their flank with the orcs.
Yep.
Your wizard, like, let's see. I don't know what you want to do. You have so many targets. You can keep hitting that one in the center. You could shift over and shoot lightning bolts at the knights because you might be able to catch the bowmen behind them, you know, with the same bolts.
Yeah.
Or you could summon those zombies behind them and, you know, cause them a lot of distress. I don't know. You've got a lot of choices.
Yeah, I'm thinking lightning bolt to the cavalry.
Yeah, that sounds good.
'Cause those cavalry hit pretty hard.
So I think I will. I don't know if my ogres are going to be in the way of your lightning bolt.
Maybe you can ask Eric.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it should be.
Yeah, because you pick a point, and then it extends lightning back towards you. So it's not like it comes out of your dude.
So let me see. That was 20. I'm guessing that's probably more like 18 to hit those cavalry units.
Yeah.
But I guess that if we go a little too far, we might actually get both the archers and the cavalry. So maybe I'll stick with 20.
That was 20. Yeah. I think I would stick with 20. You're going to get one or at least one of those, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess he can't hear us. And then the rest of us just going to sit still because...
Right. I mean, we're doing, like... they are completely ineffectual against what we're doing to them, so...
We knew chaos was so worried.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta update our fatigue. Forgot about that.
Does attacking give you fatigue?
I know melee does. I don't know about ranged attacks.
It was cool hearing about the BattleTech stuff. I've been wanting to play it, but I bought the new sets, but yeah, I just haven't had a chance.
Yeah, yeah. It's fun. Did you get the have you played before?
I played at Gen Con.
Okay.
Like sort of round, the ongoing battle kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And did you play the one with like so there's two versions. There's the classic version where each mech has like all these little dots on them, like each weapon. You played that version, yeah. I like that version. Like, it took me a while to get into it. I used to play it back in like the 90s, and we would never finish a game, right? Like, it would just go on for 4 hours and be like, oh, forget this. Like, so I gave up on it. And then I came back to it, 20 years later, and I realized, like, you don't have to play to kill the very last mech. You can play until you're like, okay, well, this side has won. Or you have scenarios. Or you can just change the rules and tweak things the way you like it. And so then I've had a blast. I played with my kid. He was 11 and 12, so it was a great age for him. But then I play with these other guys. It's a lot of fun. I do like BattleTech.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. I mean, I got played that one time. That was fun. So
Yeah.
someday we'll figure out a group to play. So I guess if he says that I can't fire that way without hitting us, I guess I'll just move to the other side of the ogres.
I don't know. Your wizard is so good. I'd rather like lose the ogres than him. So I would say if he doesn't let you shoot at the knights, I would just keep shooting at that center one or do the zombies, because if you put your wizard on the other side of the ogres, then he can get charged with those knights. You know, like
Yeah.
I'd be worried about that. But it's your guy if that's what you want to do.
Okay. No, that sounds good.
Man, we get through our stuff quick.
Yeah. I guess we just go back to the channel.
I mean, unless they're still like conspiring. So I put something in the chat that said we're done. I don't know. They're probably trying to pull off some crazy, weird maneuver from like the Napoleonic Wars, you know? Turn oblique, march in column.
They'll come up with some weird command and they'll just completely obliterate us.
Yeah. Well, what was that unit that appeared on their flank? They shot.
I think they were more cavalry.
Oh, really? Yikes. Well, at least they're pretty far away, and they have to go through a lot of river to get to us. It's
I
some.
think the way that we can reorient if they try to flank us or something.
Yeah. So if we kill that one unit you've been lightning bolting, and if we can drive off those knights or, you know, really maim them, maybe we can start pulling our left flank down and across the river.
Yeah.
And start coming into their territory.
You guys almost ready?
We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
We just didn't want to interrupt their scheming and force them to go into a breakout room and slow things down.
They already moved to their breakout room too. So yeah, come on back and let's get going.
All right.
No.
right.
Back.
Well, I don't. Oh, he's already putting in the moves for everybody. So you started with yours, and
What are you guys doing?
You're gonna find out.
Hey, do you take an extra point of fatigue, or do you take a point of fatigue for firing missile weapons?
I don't think you do. I think it's fatigue is just movement
And melee.
and melee. I think firing missile weapons is kind of a freebie.
Okay.
And apparently a lightning spell every turn.
So, and I'm probably just screwing up tracking our fatigue. I'm gonna go play with our spreadsheet and see what I did.
All right, guys. I think I got your movement right. Is that what you guys want to do, Law? I'm assuming. I actually got to move this camera back, don't I? All right, you guys ready? The Hevala, give me your range and direction.
Hold on, let me get the image up.
Basically, you can fire a spell every turn.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, it's an ability.
Chainmail, baby.
I'm going to fire 24 inches into the middle of that cavalry line.
Okay. So, yep. That gets him. 2 minutes. All right, missile fire. We'll go to Law. You got heavy crossbowmen firing at skeletons. Roll me 1 die, Law.
All right, working it.
Eric, which unit is this? Unit 7 of theirs?
6.
6. Okay.
6.
All right, that takes 3 of those skeletons off of the beat. And then unit 7, also roll me a single die, Law.
Again, 6.
Amazing.
All right, so still not doing as much damage as you would think it would, but you're still cracking some spines and shattering some skulls there. Chaos, Unit D, we've got firing at closest target, which now for you is still the Knights.
Yep.
And still within your still within your range. So you have 20, so roll a single die.
Just 1 die this time?
Yep.
It was a 4.
All right, that's 3. 3 more.
Oh my god. What?
All right. That ain't good. Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I was not aware that knights were this susceptible, but I didn't write the game. All right, longbowmen get to fire at the orcs, so you get to roll a single die as well. Law.
All right. 4.
All right, so you're firing three orcs.
3 orcs. All right, I think they rout.
Not quite. I think we got 33%. All right, so we do have some morale tests. The knights are at 50% or below. They do have a hero attached. So, Law, you need to give me 2 dice, and you need to roll a 4 or higher.
Ooh. 2 and 2.
Oh, just barely. If it wasn't for Duke Etienne, the knights would have rolled out. But as it is, they stay, and they will now fight to the death. They don't need to roll morale anymore. All right, we can remove all casualties. There's still no melee. This is the most cautious, bloody battle in Dungeons and Dragons history. And
there might have to be if they can keep firing spells and be losing.
I'd say we just retreat and off the board. I mean, we've lost half of our center already to missile fire.
We're kind of lost.
We will accept your surrender.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've never seen anybody using artillery or spell artillery in chainmail. Not like I've played a million. Nobody's played this a lot that's around, or I guess there are, but I haven't. But every time I've ever played it, I've never seen it dialed in. The last time we played this, it was the 5th shot before the necromancer killed anybody, and that's huge, right?
I'm just thinking about the orcs being able to trash our cavalry like that. It's just like
so I would not have thought that, but
I mean, we're gonna lose this game at this stage.
There's no
we're outclassed.
You're gonna lose probably. But I was surprised myself at the missile table. This is the original document. They do 3 hits. If you really, it doesn't matter what you roll.
Is there any bonus for columns or lines or modifiers for?
No, nothing in the rules. I mean, the only thing you can get in the rules to help with missile fire is cover, like if you're in woods or something.
Right. Okay.
But
like in Napoleonics, you catch a cavalry unit in column advancing with missile fire, and I've vaporized entire cavalry units that were caught in the wrong formation with missile fire, with musket fire.
Missile fire in chainmail, but where it does come in is the artillery, right? So the lightning bolt is actually a small cannon. It's the same thing. So it even says it's for lightning bolt, you treat it like a small cannon, I think.
Right.
And so that's exactly how a cannon would be in the game. And you get that 6-inch damage is the bounce, right? That you would hit. So if you catch a unit in column phase 1, you can kill 6 guys or more instead of 2. So where that comes in. All right, do you guys really want to surrender and just do a little post-mortem?
No, let's just do some more and just see what happens.
Like a spell points. Yeah.
So the way the wizards are treated, this is pre-D&D. So the way the wizards work is they can either do a lightning bolt or a fireball every round.
Oh wow, man.
Yeah, that's how wizards are. There was no he actually has spells he hasn't bothered to use yet, and those are believe it or not, it was a roll for effect system, kind of like DCC is now. The original Wizards in Chainmail, you had to roll to affect the spell. And if you rolled the target number, it happened right then. If you rolled 1 or 2 below that, it was delayed by a round. And then if you rolled, X number or below, it fizzles. So it's interesting that a lot of later on stuff like 4E introduced the wizards could always fire a magic missile or whatever little thing they did. 5E is the same way. DCC introduced back in roll for spell effect that was gone from early D&D, but those were all pre-dated D&D concepts that were in Chainmail.
Neat.
Yep.
It all comes back around.
Let's just test the rules, and keep playing and see what goes on.
Yeah,
I'll do another turn, but I mean, basically, this battle's gone. I mean, can't get you to come across the river, and why should you when you can do all this damage just sitting on a hill?
Yeah.
And to go towards you is suicide. It's suicide to stand here, suicide to attack you. So right now, I mean, there is no battle.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could also just call it. That's up to you guys.
I got stuff I got to do to get ready for my game tomorrow. I've been going to do another turn to see what's going on, see more carnage. But
let's just do another turn and have some carnage. Just test the rules. We're here to just see what it's like. We're not, it doesn't matter if you win or lose.
No problem.
All right. Let's go to our little room.
Let's go to our meeting room.
Where we can, our crying chamber.
Our crying chamber.
Well, I guess we can do whatever we want now. So,
Just do the same.
I'm gonna detach my ogres. I'll have them charge towards the river just in case somebody gets close and they can wallop them. Unless that's that won't get in your way or anything.
There's a hero attached to that thing, so I was going to try to target that hero. Lightning bolt.
Sure. Okay.
So you can't target. You won't be able to target the hero.
Okay.
As long as he's attached, any missile or artillery fire, he'll be the last one to die.
Okay.
You would still, if you hit the hero, you would still do damage to the unit. I would just take the other figures first.
Got it.
Okay. And the so when you measured it out last time, I couldn't see where the end point was. Is that on purpose or?
No. I don't know. Yeah, I just didn't catch it. It was like, I want to say like 3 inches past.
Okay.
Actually just barely 1.5 inches maybe.
1.5. Okay. So if they try to turn around, do they have to like spend movement like about facing and then that happens?
Yeah, any kind of formation change like that costs some amount of movement. It costs less for cavalry and it costs less for elite units. Mm-hmm. So they're cavalry. You might be able to guess that they're elite since they're knights, but
I think the key for them was to get across to attack us in melee. If they would have meleeed us, we'd be trouble.
There were 2. Yeah, of course, the knights got to get in melee. They can't just sit there and get peppered by.
Yeah,
this was influenced a lot by I think like 100 Years War stuff. So the longbowmen.
Yeah.
And other missiles are, I think, overrepresented as far as their effectiveness against armored troops. But it is what it is. I mean, not my rules. And I was actually surprised a little bit myself that the and what they do against the fully armored is you have to have more units, more troops to have an effect, but you can still do a lot of damage, which I was surprised. But yeah, they got to get into melee. And you guys dialing in that lightning bolt early was just...
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Sick. The other thing, too, is that, this was, I think, a long before the advent of really force balancing. So I did use the rules in chainmail, and I made some judgment calls on how undervalued some things were to try and make it even, but different flavor. And so far, Chaos is one. This is my 3rd time running it, and then it was a test one when we didn't finish that. But Chaos won once, Law won once. So it was. I think Law. I think the magic. The thing with the magic is it's mercurial. If you dial it in early, it's way overpowered. But if you fizzle a bunch of spells, and like the last time when Law won, the magic user didn't hit anything until the 5th round, and so if you do that, it's worthless.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's having no effect, then it's
So what's the speed on those on their knights?
I think they move 12 and 15 on a charge. so they're not slow. And so because they're horse and elite, if they want to do like a maneuver, it's only a quarter of the cost. So if they do something that costs a full round maneuver, it only costs them 3 inches of movement.
Yeah.
So they can wheel and they can line up that better. So they're really good at that, which makes up for their slower movement compared to other cavalry. But yeah, they could have gotten across the river and charged into.
Yeah.
The last time when Law ran it, their knights just acted like knights and went straight ahead. They routed the orcs.
Yeah.
On the second round of melee. The first round, they pushed them back up the hill because they have such a high melee morale that when they do get into melee, they just push.
Yeah.
And so they charged across the river. They hit the orcs in the river, pushed them back out of the river, and on the second round, routed the entire unit. In this one, they're just letting you hammer your arrows, and they're losing. So, so it's not that they're outclassed. They're just playing cautious with knights. I mean,
you gotta get them in there. I mean, that's the thing. So I looked at it, like the orcs are our weakest unit, so like keep them back and away, and the skeletons look like they're probably pretty brittle.
Oh yeah,
but
we're probably not even going to get to what. We'll talk. We can talk about all this stuff afterwards and share it. But yeah, they've got things they can do there too. Now your whites are trouble, and frankly, they're designed. And chainmail's a lot like this. The fantasy supplement is you come up against stuff like that, and we ran into this in Steve's game, the Tekkamel game, where I was on the bad guy side, and I know I had those rocks or something, and they were just wrecking stuff. And the other side, the good people, they really needed to have their heroes come out and fight them one-on-one.
Yeah.
You could take entire stands of those. I don't know, Tekkamel, whatever they were out on a pretty low roll, and but when they were fighting regular units, so if those whites get in against a regular unit, they can really be bad news.
Yeah.
But they have some stuff they can do against that. They have a counter. So.
Gotcha. So when I'm rolling my attacks, or maybe count the rolls out of it. When you make a missile attack, do you have like guaranteed numbers of casualties you're going to inflict? Like, do you always inflict at least one casualty?
Not always, but here's what the chart looks like.
Yep.
Try and get it zoomed in there. So it really is a set number. Sometimes that number's 0, and oftentimes it's the same regardless of what you roll. So probably the least thought out part of the rules. Truthfully, and then you see the fully armored, which is, again, this isn't explained, but the way I do it is light, medium, and heavy, mapping to the categories.
Got it.
So the horses, the knights, for instance, I count as fully armored, and you need more troops to impact them. So you can see the top numbers. It's you do it in groups of 10, and the bottom you do it in groups of 20, which is why the second time I only had you roll 1 die because I was reading the chart wrong, but
got it.
I only used your first die from the first time anyway, so it didn't impact anything.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's the way missiles work. It's the shortest. That whole missile fire section is very short. All right.
We already entered our orders, so if you want to.
Okay. So they were. You guys are.
I mean, actually, we looked at the situation and we've been just devastated by that lightning bolt so much that we didn't really see any reasonable. Like, it's just like we can't even. The river's there. We can't charge across the river. I assume you can't. Most rule systems don't allow you to charge through rivers.
Or up the hill at the end of the river.
Or up a hill, right. So we were looking at those orcs, and it's like, well, they get a downhill bonus, but we don't get, so they're protected from the cavalry.
Okay, well, yeah, you guys are right. If you just you're withdrawing your units. So was your intention to withdraw all units, move 1 full, and keep going, or just be done?
We're gonna keep going because we don't see. If we were real people, we would not engage at this point. We would just be like we got blasted.
You guys are retreating.
I think we can grant the forces of evil this victory.
Okay. Well, in the interest of seeing the rules of chainmail, if you guys can hold on for 10 more minutes, I'm going to put some knights back on the board. And I'm going to assume that you guys got into melee combat with these orcs. So we can actually see what, for those who haven't played before, what chainmail looks like.
Sure.
All right.
Then we'll go ahead and move, when I stop bleeding, to the melee portion. So we'll assume that you guys met there like that. And what we would do is count up knights are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 8, 16 heavy foot against the orcs are heavy horse against heavy foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I would have the knights roll heavy horse against heavy foot, 3 dice per man. So you would roll 16 dice 3 times, Law.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, this is what the knights can do in melee, and 5 or 6s kill.
All right, hang tight. 2, 3.
That's what's 16 times 3? 48.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Kind of all your body.
Okay. 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, and another 5. So in that charge, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 casualties.
Yep, and that was just 16.
And that's only the first 16. You said I had to do it 3 times?
Yep, you do that 2 more, and I'll keep track of that 7.
1, 2, 3, 4. Just 4 on the second one, and six, and there's 2 more 5s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the last one.
Orcs, you would be rolling with only 10 guys in melee. So you would roll heavy foot against armored heavy horse. 1 die per 4 men, and you need a 6 to kill. So you get round up 3 dice, orcs, and you get 6s.
I got no 6s.
All right. So if you guys would have crossed the river and been able to engage them in melee, that's what would have happened.
Yeah, we kind of figured that was the sort of thing we would get. It was just how to get near enough to them to be able to charge them and do that, you know.
Yeah. It's and that's definitely the balancing act. And that was without a charge. That was a regular melee, so you didn't even get to shift up.
Okay. Would the river have caused? I mean, I assume the river would prevent charging.
Well, it prevents charging in the sense that it costs you 6 inches of movement. And
okay.
And so, yeah, I don't know if I said you can't charge across it. I believe so.
I don't know. Most games I've played, you can't charge across. You know, you have to maintain your momentum.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does prevent the charge movement. So you would not be able to charge. But that was a regular melee. And then what happens after that is we would do the post-melee morale. And so I would add up the knights have a melee morale of 9. So I'd count how many are left, which is 16 times 9. Do 144, and the orcs have 18 times 5. And there's a chart in the book that tells you what happens. This part, there's this chart here on page 15. that says what happens to what the delta is. You do this like formula, and actually the formula in the book is even more complicated, but I simplified it for this game. And then I would look and see what the delta was. The delta here was 54, so you would have pushed the orcs back one full move. So they would have given ground back to here. And the knights would be able to, now if you charged, you could stay with them.
Okay.
And so you could have pushed them back up the hill, which is the second time I ran this. What happened was exactly that, almost in exactly that same spot, except they met in the middle of the river. The knights meleeed the orcs in the middle of the river, pushed them back 9 inches, and on the second melee, they didn't kill quite as many as you did. The second melee, they broke them and they routed them from the field. And then they turned on the ogres and hit the ogres from a flank. And so Chaos won the first time I ran this, and Law won the second. And that's kind of how it happened the second time for Law. But also that time, the Necromancer didn't dial in the lightning bolt until like the 5th round. So that was a big difference maker.
Yeah.
Lightning bolt. How do you determine what the hit is? Is it like an over under,
Yeah. So the way you do it is you have to, like, without no pre-measuring, call out a distance and a direction. You can pick.
Okay.
And then you measure it out, and wherever the end point is, you go back 6 inches, and that's the template.
Okay. Kind of like playing Fletcher Pratt.
Yeah,
Civil Warfare.
It's similar to
Another reference.
Yeah. Which is, I imagine a lot of this stuff was cobbled from a lot of those things.
Yeah. Well, I will say that it was pretty frustrating watching that wizard trash us like that. It was just like our center is melting, and we haven't even gotten to combat, and we're just getting destroyed.
Did you get?
Paul had it dialed in, man. Are you sure you're not an old veteran of chainmail artillery battles here?
Right.
Did Law have
I
any?
hope you guys enjoyed it.
I mean, I did.
Yeah.
Did Law have any spellcasters?
No.
No, they didn't. What Law had was they had 2 heroes, which significantly bolstered the melee capability, because that one guy counts as 8 heavy horsemen, and the other guy counts as 4 heavy or armored footmen. And the other thing too is that the armored footmen and that Baldwin the Pious are crusaders or former crusaders, and they get a shift when fighting undead. And that takes you, if you look at the chart, from armored foot to light horse, and that is a pretty significant jump. When you jump from the infantry to the cavalry table, it is so for instance, against those skeletons, regular armored foot gets 1 die per man and a 4, 5, or 6 kills. But when you jump up the light horse, they get 2 dice per man. Wow. So in melee, they would have carved through the skeletons, and they would have even had a decent shot against those chaos knight looking guys are whites, which in chainmail they fight as horsemen. So they're very tough. And in addition to that, the first time that they engage in base-to-base contact with an enemy unit, they paralyze them for the next turn. So they could have been really dicey. And in fact, the time that Chaos won, they were pretty much the reason why.
Wow. Well, it was fun, guys.
All right.
Good time.
Yeah?
Yeah, I had fun.
Eric, thanks for running this.
I have to say, I really am impressed with the way new technology makes an old concept work again. The Google Sheets entering in orders stuff, that I thought that would be clumsy. It wasn't at all. It was very streamlined.
Yeah.
That works really well.
Yeah, and the camera setup, everything worked very smoothly. So
good. Well, I'm glad you guys got a chance to play. When I did it, I was surprised. I did it because I didn't want to miss the whole summer of gaming with some guys I usually have over, and it worked way better than I expected as well. And added in some of those things that you mentioned. So I'm glad we were able to do it, and I'm glad you guys got to play a little chainmail and experience a little bit about the earlier days of the hobby.
Yep.
I would be actually more interested in playing a game that just uses the historical chainmail, because it would make both sides more even on there wouldn't be all these like MacGuffin type things, you know.
Yeah, and actually the test that I ran for it was just historical. I waffle back and forth. I do a lot of historical gaming, but also like the sci-fi and fantasy sometimes too. But yeah, that's definitely, I've done that as well.
Alrighty, well, thanks guys.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks, it's a real pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks guys. Thanks for playing.
All right. Talk to you later.
Have a great
Enjoy
day.
the rest of the con, and thanks Scrum Con for
Sure.
giving me the opportunity.
Yeah.
Our pleasure.
Awesome. Did a great job.